Good afternoon and welcome to this regularly scheduled meeting of the it's actually we had to change the time, meeting of the Executive Committee for the City of Minneapolis. I'm Betsy Hodges, the Mayor, Chair of the committee, joined this morning by Councilmember Cam Gordon, Council Vice President Elizabeth Glidden, and Councilmember Kevin Reich. We are a quorum of the committee and can conduct the city's business. We do have 9 items on our agenda today. Item 9 is consideration of a collective bargaining agreement, so I will move to adjourn to a closed session in room 315. But the first 8 items on the agenda are consideration of reappointment for the city's charter department heads. The way the process works in the city of Minneapolis is that for these particular positions, I, as mayor, put forth names that the city council to the executive committee. The executive committee determines whether or not to send those 4 names forward to the city council. If they do, the city council in committees holds a public hearing for each of these department heads and then votes up or down on whether or not to appoint the nominee or reappoint the nominee, as the case may be. Overall, what I am choosing to do with great delight is move the reappointment of all the current charter department heads, with the exception of Steve Kotke, our Public Works Director, who is retiring, and then our Regulatory Services Department is open, and we are working on hiring for that position. I take great pride in the team that we have assembled, the leadership team we have assembled here at the city. Today, I won't be taking a lot of time to sing the praises of each individual department head. There will be opportunity for that at their public hearings. But I want to say that overall, as a city, in the last couple of years, this team has really been able to come together to achieve remarkable things and to face well remarkable challenges. And it's through the leadership of this able group, as well as the assistant city coordinators and all the leadership at the city, that we have been able to meet challenge with skill and willingness, and to take on improvement of the city with success and with zeal. And so each one of these I will move separately so that we can make sure we are doing the proper referral to the proper committee and set the public hearing in the proper committee. But on each one, I will make the motion, hope for us, and hope for folks to if there's any discussion on that, we'll absolutely take that, and then we can go from there. So, Councilmember Glidden.
Thanks, Madam Chair, and I apologize. I realized as you were going through this, I had a question. It's a little bit for the clerk, I think. So my understanding is that we are moving forward these appointments, or voting on whether to do so, and that we have identified dates for public hearings for each of these appointments in their home committees. The agenda that I'm looking at doesn't state those dates, and I know I have a calendar of those dates, and so is the mayor going to move the dates, setting the date of the public hearing along with, I just want to make sure I'm understanding process-wise what we're doing here so we get these public hearings properly set. So if you could please help advise.
So Ms. Hanson can answer that question, but I believe the intention is the motion, and then Ms. Hanson would announce as part of that when the proposed public hearing would be.
Madam Chair, you would move the reappointment, and then Councilmember Glidden may announce when the public hearing is going to be held.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that last part.
Councilmember Glidden was going to announce when the public hearing is going to be held. And
but we don't need a vote on setting that public hearing.
No, you do not.
Okay, that was kind of my question. So a little picky question, just want to make sure I'm doing it right.
Great. Well, then we will move to item number 1 on the agenda, the reappointment of city assessor, to consider my nomination to reappoint Patrick Todd to the appointed position of city assessor for a 2-year term beginning January 4th, 2016, for referral to the Ways and Means Committee for a public hearing. I will move that. Is there a question or discussion? Seeing none, all in approval, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That carries. Council Vice President Glidden.
Thank you. And we have identified Monday, February 8th, 1:30 at the Ways and Means Committee meeting as the public hearing for City Assessor Patrick Todd.
And I will note that overall, the intention is to have all of these public hearings happen within the same council, 2-week council cycle. Item number 2, the reappointment of the city attorney, considering my nomination to reappoint Susan Siegel to the appointed position of city attorney for a 2-year term beginning January 4th, 2016, for referral to the committee of the whole for a public hearing. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in approval, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, that carries. Council Vice President Glidden.
Thank you. The public hearing for City Attorney Susan Siegel will be in Committee of the Whole on Wednesday, February 10th at 10 a.m.
Item number 3, reappointment of the city coordinator, considering my nomination to reappoint Spencer Kronk to the appointed position of city coordinator for a 2-year term beginning January 4th, 2016, for referral to the committee of the whole for a public hearing. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in approval, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstentions, that carries. Council Vice President.
The city coordinator, Spencer Kronk, will have a public hearing on his nomination at the Committee of the Whole Wednesday, February 10th at 10 a.m.
Item number 4, reappointment of the Director of Civil Rights, to consider my nomination to reappoint Velma Corbel to the appointed position of Director of Civil Rights for a 2-year term beginning January 4th, 2016, for referral to the Public Safety, Civil Rights, and Emergency Management Committee for a public hearing. Is there any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in approval, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, that carries. Council Vice President.
Yes, we will hold a public hearing on Civil Rights Director Velma Corbel at the Public Safety, Civil Rights, and Emergency Management Committee meeting Wednesday, February 3rd at 1:30 p.m.
Great. Item number 5, reappointment of Director of Community Planning and Economic Development, considering my nomination to reappoint Craig Taylor to the appointed position of Director of Community Planning and Economic Development and Executive Director of the Minneapolis Community Development Agency for a 2-year term beginning January 4th, 2016, for referral to the Community Development and Regulatory Services Committee for a public hearing. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in approval, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, that carries. Council Vice President.
Thank you. The public hearing on this nomination will be heard at Community Development and Regulatory Services Committee on Tuesday, February 2nd at 1:30 p.m.
Great. Item number 6, reappointment of Commissioner of Health, Director of the Health Department, considering my nomination to reappoint Gretchen Musicant to the appointed position of Commissioner of Health, Director of Health Department for a 2-year term beginning January 4th, 2016, for referral to the Health, Energy, and Community Engagement Committee for a public hearing. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in approval, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, that carries. Council Vice President.
The public hearing on Health Commissioner Gretchen Musicant's nomination will be at the Health, Environment, and Community Engagement Committee Monday, February 1st at 1:30 p.m.
Thank you very much. Item number 7, reappointment of Chief of Fire Department, considering my nomination to reappoint John Friedel to the appointed position of Chief of Fire Department for a 2-year term beginning January 4th, 2016, for referral to the Public Safety, Civil Rights, and Emergency Management Committee for a public hearing. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in approval, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, that carries. Council Vice President.
And the public hearing for Fire Chief John Friedel's nomination will be at the Public Safety, Civil Rights, and Emergency Management Committee meeting Wednesday, February 3rd at 1:30 p.m.
And finally, item 8, reappointment of Chief of Police Department, considering my nomination to reappoint Janae Harteau to the appointed position of Chief of Police Department for a 3-year term beginning January 4th, 2016, for referral to the Public Safety, Civil Rights, and Emergency Management Committee for a public hearing. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in approval, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, that carries. Council Vice President.
Thank you. And this is our last. This is the public hearing for Police Chief Janae Harteau. Nomination will be held at the Public Safety, Civil Rights, and Emergency Management Committee meeting on Wednesday, February 3rd at 1:30 p.m.
Thank you very much, Council Vice President, and thank you for the fine back and forth. I do want to note, I do want to say a thank you to all of these all of these charter department heads, both for the service they have done for the last 2 years, 3 years in the case of Chief Harteau, but also for the willingness to serve and keep doing fine work for the city of Minneapolis. I will note that we are joined here this morning by Chief Friedel of the fire department and by our city coordinator, Spencer Kronk. Can all breathe with a sigh of relief as we head on to the next stage. But thank you very much for being here. And thank you again to the fine leadership of the city and your willingness to serve. I am delighted to have this crew of leaders and look forward to the opportunity to say more positive things about them as we go. That said, item number 9 is a collective bargaining agreement, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 292. I will move to adjourn to room 315 for consideration of that collective bargaining agreement. Do we need to move? Do we need to vote on the motion to adjourn?
Technically, I think we're recessing to that office, so we would normally take a vote to recess over to that office.
Great. 10 years, you'd think I'd know. So we will recess to room 315 for consideration of a closed meeting regarding the collective bargaining agreement. Thank you.